here we go. Welcome to the show. What is this? Episode 27, right?
27.
So, I just want to just set the scene. First off, we're probably going to go a lot of places on today's show, and I'm going to try and keep myself relatively under control, because I'm kind of, this week I've been kind of trying to biohack my body.
Okay.
I think it's kind of worked to a degree, but it's also put me into super on fire mode.
When he says biohack, he's relating to the film Limitless and...
No. So what NZT?
NZT.
So what? I don't believe in NZT. It doesn't exist. But I'm interested in the whole concept of biohacking your body to increase your productivity. Right. So I was listening to Tim Ferriss's podcast with Dave Asprey. Yeah. Who started up the Bulletproof company, right? Yeah. Consequently, I finished listening to that. It's obviously a brilliant advert for him because I ordered Bulletproof coffee and it arrived the next day. So I got it off Amazon. Okay. But you can get it on bulletproof.com.
Bulletproof coffee.
Yeah, so basically...
Joe Rogan drinks it as well. Serious?
So basically, when I say biohacking, and Tim Ferriss does this a lot as well. He looks for ways to increase their kind of mental capabilities and work their cognitive abilities, right? To enhance them slightly. So when I say NZT isn't real, but it fascinates me by the fact that there are ways out there to improve our cognitive and enhance our cognitive abilities. Yeah. So why would you not do them? So I was like, let me try and work out what I can get around. And I mean, they refer to, I've read a lot of them, and a lot of people do the same thing. They get into a state of ketosis, which is basically they starve themselves of carbs so that their body fat becomes the way that they increase their energy. And it's mad. You have to have a very specific diet. Like, you can't even have sauce. You have to get all of your carbs out of your diet. Your calories come 80% from fat. You have minimal amounts of protein and like zero carbs in there. And the moment that you have carbs in there, because they introduce glucose into the mix, it completely knocks you out of ketosis. Like, it's crazy, and I'm kind of intrigued about trying it. Okay. I've been going through ways of trying to get my body used to a bit of fasting, because I wouldn't be able to jump between the mix and match. But it sounds like it's super, super hard to do it. And you need to do a lot of research in the area before you would take it on.
Why would you want to try? What's your motivation behind
because when they get into a state of ketosis, they all seem to report back that it enhances their cognitive abilities.
That's what, like, the other Tim Hoff, Iceman, and he's developed, the cold technique of like having ice showers and the breathing and stuff and meditation, and it's helped his cognitive abilities as well. And I learned about him from a nutritionist who was talking about having the ability to turn, because we have our bodies are wired, and we have a high carb diet in the Western world, and we a lot of times our body just works on the fat and breaks down, and not the fat, breaks on the sugar. But we need to find a way of flipping that switch, so then our bodies then break down the fat.
Yeah.
And that's what and the guy I was talking about, he was saying about the Wim Hof method, and I started reading it, and then I started doing the breathing exercises. It gives you a high. I'm not gonna lie, because you're breathing in and you're controlling your breathing, and it gives you a mental high, which is different. I haven't gone further into it, but I'll be interested to see how far you get.
Well, a lot of them, it's strange. You find a lot of different techniques used, but a lot of shared techniques. So a lot of people seem to go on the using some form of fasting, some of them to get into ketosis, and it all works around this stuff called your mitochondria. Which is, and again, this is going into technical detail that they are much better explaining than I am currently, but I'm super interested and I'm going through one of them like super power learn and binge modes at the moment. So I'm just trying to extract information from everywhere. But for me, it's a super interesting topic, because I'm like, if it exists, why would you not? Why would you not pursue these routes? And when I'm listening to, especially the Tim Ferriss podcast, and more so than there are a couple that I listen to more now. One is the Jamie Altucher show, and the other one is, and I always struggle to pronounce his name, and he does his last name, Altucher, and the Tim Ferriss show. And if you're watching this, check them out. Brilliant podcasts. Tim Ferriss, because he specifically wants to dissect the tools and habits of successful people, And definitely another one, I'll put the link in the bio. Check out his book, Tools of Titans, which basically gives you little clippets from everything that he's learned from the different people on the podcast. So I'm reading the book.
Successful people that he interviews on the podcast.
Yeah. And when I'm reading the book and I see certain chapters in there where he goes through them, that then goes to me, let me listen to that podcast. And when you listen to the whole episode, you're like, wow. And you hear these different stories of how people have achieved success, how some of their habits just vary completely differently. And I think what came out of it to me is that there is, so we talk about all the ways that you can achieve success, right?
Sorry. Is the book based on the podcasts?
The book is,
So what he's done for that time with the podcast and the different...
No.
Okay.
The book is literally a breakdown. Every chapter is just a person's name.
Okay.
And it picks out the best parts of what he found in that interview with that person.
Okay.
So it's not a story, so you can flip with it as well. Yeah. It's split into health, wealth, and I think maybe business or success or something else. It's set into 3 components, and then it just goes through the interviews he's done with all the different people, which means you don't have to read it one way through either. You can just pick it up as and when you need to. But what came out of it is there is no standard format. Everybody has worked out what works for them, and they have some shared habits, but loads of them have completely different habits. So when I was just saying to you before we started, I was listening to the Mark Andreessen one this morning, who is started up back in the day of when the internet started up. You can look him up. He started up the Mosaic net browser, and he's got a big technology company, and it's a really interesting podcast as well to listen to. But he's like, if it's got caffeine in it, then I want it. And he's like, my perfect day is 10 hours of caffeine, 4 hours of alcohol. But then you get other people who are like, don't drink caffeine, don't go anywhere near alcohol, for obviously very valid reasons. And then their morning habits, I think I was listening to Ed Norton's one this morning, and he's like, what are your best morning habits? And he's like, I wish I could say I have more, but I don't really have any. And some people, completely strict. Like Malcolm Gladwell, barely eats anything for breakfast. He's like, what did you have for breakfast this morning when he got Malcolm Gladwell in? He's like, a third of a possum.
You look at Malcolm Gladwell, you can see why. He's that skinny. He's like a microphone. That's interesting though. I think that would be interesting. Like you just went through the book, and then I bet you can pinpoint things that people do consistently, even though they're different. There must be things that they do consistently.
Yeah. And what's good about Tim Ferriss as well is he seeks those out and he starts to adapt them in his own. And he does put disclaimers in there, like the Wim Hof one at the start of the podcast. They're like, disclaimer: don't go and do stupid stuff without doing your research, right? Because some of the methods are really extreme.
Yeah.
But like I say, some of them, a lot of what comes up again is transcendental meditation. Comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Right, so that's one of those ones which is a shared habit. And there are other ones where you read and actually you're like, I can really associate with that. Yeah. That really works. It's a really, really interesting read.
Do you find that?
You finished the book?
No. I think I've read a combined maybe about 200 pages, but I've flipped between different sections.
What do you find? Do you find that the successful people, they kind of know other successful people? It's like they link up as they're coming up. They like meet other successful people, or they cross paths with other people, and to the point to the root of success.
So that's an interesting point that touches on something. Actually, now that we're going to talk about, right? It's a good segue there without even meaning to. Is that one? You do see that a lot of them have these common. Like, whenever they're talking about it, the amount of times that they mention somebody who they know, and Tim Ferriss is like, oh yeah, I had them on the show a few weeks ago. And the same thing with James Altucher, like, yeah, I had them on the show. So they share a lot of, and they tend to be like, yeah, I had a dinner, and I had all of these people around who share common kind of friendships.
Yeah.
But one of the points that I wanted to touch on from that is that the foreword for the book is written by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, again, crazy. Tim Ferriss, just so many people.
That's what I'm saying.
It's mad, right? But he's like, everybody comes up to me and says, oh, you're brilliant, you're a self-made man. And what Arnold Schwarzenegger says is, I'm not a self-made man. Like, I think he's put one of the chapters of that is standing on the shoulders of giants, because he's like, every step of the way there have been people to help me. Now, I may look like a self-made man at the end of it, but behind, as we spoke about before, behind every successful person is a team of people. And he's like, really, there's no self-made men out there.
Yeah.
Everybody has had to leverage on other people. And when you read something like that from someone like him, it's kind of one of those thought-provoking moments and kind of sobering when you think to yourself, everybody goes out there like, it's me against the world.
Yeah.
And I see that self-made man and I want to be them. I'm going to go out and be independent and drive and do this all by myself. And then you realise, when you're hearing it from someone as successful as that, is saying, actually, I don't need my ego indulged by saying, yes, you're a self-made man. I did this with the support of everybody around me. Like,
no, I get that. Sort of, you told me another interesting point about Schwarzenegger. You're saying about like his success and like you didn't know something about him, and I'm like, well, now I know something about him. That so when he first started, he was a millionaire.
So
acting.
I feel naive for not knowing this. Like, I feel like it's something that I should have known. But he was a millionaire before he even got into the acting game. And I didn't know this. Like, I just thought, right, because it's always intrigued me before, right? When I saw him doing all these Mr. Olympias and stuff, I was like, how did he get himself the resources to be able to focus on that full time? And basically, it tells the story of how he used to do that, ran along starting a landscaping company, got some savings behind him, invested in an apartment block. That went up by like 100% of the so he became a millionaire through investing in real estate, and then got into movies because he was like, most movie stars need to take every job because they're actors and they're doing that alongside maybe working in a coffee shop or something, so they don't have money particularly and they need to take everything that they can get. And he was like, I never had that problem. I could pick and choose because I already had millions behind me, so therefore I could choose what role I went for, which was another interesting story that I listened to this and I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger is such a known figure. I should have known that.
Yeah. I'm not really... He's well known, but I don't know too much about him, if that makes sense. I didn't know...
I think he's like an outlier, in the sense that he's one of those people that, like, he's a special case. He came from a foreign country, he went to America, did the American dream. Guess what? If we break it down, Mr. Olympia, wow. Multi-time Mr. Olympia. A real estate owner. Actor, governor of California.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, you like, and then I bet there's other stuff that I haven't listed that he's done that I just don't know. Yeah. And he's done all that, and he's still alive. It's like this, and he like nothing's put him in a box. He never allowed anyone to put him in any box because people go, I'm just a bodybuilder, and he could say I'm just a bodybuilder, but he didn't do that. I'm just a real estate. I could just be the most amazing real estate. He didn't do that. I'm an actor, I can be the most amazing actor. He didn't do that. He's kept on going. I bet there's other stuff that he's doing now, like I've gone to reality TV with The Apprentice. There's other stuff that he's going to keep on doing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think he is unique, because one of the lines that I really like, I think James Cameron used it about Terminator, he's like, if we didn't have an Arnold Schwarzenegger, we would have had one, he was like, we couldn't have made the film, because he's the only person who could have sounded like a robot. Yes. But then somebody else was like, if we didn't have an Arnold Schwarzenegger, we would have to build one. Yeah. Basically, if he didn't exist, we would have to create one to play some of the roles that he has played. So I think there is a degree of him being an outlier, but I think it's interesting. You can easily look at somebody who's got like bodybuilding and stuff and not see their backstory, or just take for granted, well, he's just a muscle.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a big muscle and he doesn't have anything behind him. Whereas, like, he has, just want to, again, I can't stress enough, obviously listen to our show because I like to think we're giving value, but if I could say anything, and I'll put the link to it, the Tim Ferriss show, because his intention is to dissect the most successful people, you just learn so much from listening. I mean, I've listened to about 40 of them this week.
That's a lot of podcasts.
Well, I just want to state that I also listen to them, which is...
At 1.5, 2 times.
I've got 1.5 or 2 times speed, which has now become so normal for me that everybody talking in normal speed seems... If I'm listening to it in normal, I'm like, it sounds like... You remember back in the day when you had chopped and screwed mixtapes? It sounds like that.
Effectively, Ben's saying he understands Chipmunk.
That's what I'm thinking. In my head right now, I'm thinking, you know what? That's his Chipmunk.
Yeah,
that's Chipmunk talk to me.
Yeah. But I noticed it when I've had this little mix that I've created this week, where I now have bulletproof coffee, alongside mixing that with matcha tea during the day as well, I have like a heightened sense of focus. So when I'm things like when I'm running, it's so autopilot to me. Now, switch on a podcast, I'll switch it on at 1.5, and then usually for about 10 minutes, that's become so normal, I flip it up to 2. But I don't lose anything that happens in there. Whereas, I don't know, I'm still trying to work out whether I'm working on the placebo effect or this will work long term. But for this first week, it just seems to blow me out.
I'm alright with the normal speed.
When I said, do you guys listen to podcasts in 1.5 or normal? And your response was, in normal speed, like normal people.
I was like 1.5, and then I went and just quickly checked one, put it 1.5, listened for 20 seconds, said no, that's too fast, man.
I think it depends on what you're listening to, because I picked Sam Harris's one because he talks really slowly. He talks really slowly and very concisely, and I'm like, okay, 1.5, and he's back to normal. It's back to normal. But you did that with someone else, like the Brilliant Idiots, it just goes way over your head. But yeah, I'll try 1.5 with Sam Harris, and I'll see if I can get used to it. Probably won't.
It's just normal for me now. But I've noticed I can read faster. I've noticed I can read faster. You kind of picked it out.
No, I was just going to say, did you intentionally start listening at 1.5 to quicken the podcast that you're listening to?
I can't remember why I thought to do it, but I was just like, the option's there.
Yeah.
I'm listening to stuff. This is 2 hours. Wonder if I can hack it into 1 hour.
Yeah.
So I listened to it 1.5, and when I first clicked it, I was like, nah, this sounds ridiculous. And then after a couple of minutes, I was like, actually, now it sounds a bit normal. So now I listen to all of them in that, and that's why I'm like, just consuming it super speed now.
But you read books the same way. That's one thing I've noticed, that like, we get a book at the exact same time, and you finish it in a day, and I'll still be on like halfway through. And it's because you read books totally different. Like, most other people, they read a page and they might not get it, and they read a page again. Then it'll just be like, and then and the thing is, right, at first I think he's bullshit, and he can't read him that fast. And he actually picks points out, so he's actually paying attention to the key points. And I think he's just learned the way he's taught himself to read that way, where he can just like go through a book and actually get the meat and gravy out of it.
The main points
out of it. Well, a lot of people can't do that. They have to read the book like 3 or 4 times. But that's why I started into audiobooks. Audiobooks, that stops me from doing that, because I actually, I finished Charlemagne in 2 days. That's a very simple book. It's a very good book, but it's a very simple book. I finished that in 2 days. And
a question though, what did you make of, so for anybody who's not listening, Charlemagne obviously is one of the guys who does the Brilliant Idiots, he does the Breakfast Show as well. Check out those different podcasts in different ways. But I personally haven't read the book. I don't know if I'll read that one, but you guys have. What did you make of it? Because I know it went as a New York Times bestseller in the first.
I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed reading it. He was very honest, very, very honest. He was very balanced. I can see where it was coming from. It's a motivational book. It is a motivational book. It is. Look where I've come from. If I can do it, you can do it. And just because you are black, white, fat, woman, anything, doesn't hold you back. And I think when he first put the title Black Privilege, people thought, oh, this Charlemagne being not controversial, saying that like, he got privilege and trying to belittle the white privilege thing. He's not.
He's not doing that, no.
No, and I found it fun. I found it was Charlemagne. Like, none of the
way he talks.
The way he talks. None of the stories, all the stories he's talked about them before in Brilliant Idiots. It's just that he went into more detail. He went into more detail, and like a lot of the principles he has, you could use it in every day. Like one of the principles when his first job on the radio, he was getting 19k a year, which was nothing. He got an opportunity to go work for Wendy Williams, and at first they said they weren't going to pay him.
Ooh.
So back after that brief interruption, delivery man turning up.
Not even for you as well. Annoying.
I'm going back to that Charlemagne's book. Most of the stories, you've heard it all before in the podcast, but he breaks it down. I was talking about him
when he went to work for Wendy
Williams. And they said to him, well, we're not going to pay you. And we're also going to give you a bed to sleep in. We're not going to pay you. And he was like, and he had a child at that time. And he accepted it, but he just
what he was saying is that most people, if there's not a pay attached to the opportunity, they don't want to take it. So he was just like, sometimes you have to seize an opportunity that you see. even if there's not a pay attached to it, you got to think about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And what I liked about the book was it was easily relatable because the language he spoke, I was thinking, you can't put this type of language in a book. And I was thinking, I was a little bit, is this really going to do well? But I think, you know what, that's him being authentic, that's him just being him. And I like, one of the principles that he had, which I really liked, was put the weed in the bag first. And what he's talking about is, you can't be expected to be, he was talking about being a shotter. And if you don't know how to put the weed in the bag first, how do you expect to be a Mr. Kingpin on the road? And it's just relating it back to business or anything, that you need to learn your craft first. So it's very simple, it's principles that we all know and we picked up in loads of other books and we've listened to people, but he's, based on his growing up and his experiences, and he's been able to relate it back. And I think it's good because he's talking about black privilege, so obviously he is aiming it at a lot of the black people out there who don't feel that they can do this because they put a barrier up saying that the white person, I can't do this because I haven't got white privileges everywhere. And I think that because he was talking about, even on the Brilliant Idiots, about people queuing up to buy his book like they queue up to buy Yeezys. Yeah. And I just think that that's really good because I think it will aim at a lot of the young people as well that can then now listen to him, and then think, I can actually do this.
Also, with Charlemagne is that we've seen, like, I personally seen his journey. Like, I've seen him come from being on the Breakfast Club, then starting Brilliant Idiots. I've listened from day one. I'm Brilliant Idiots fan from day one, and I've seen how his career's progressed. And I've seen it from Uncommon Sense to now, like, producing stuff. This guy is actually been consistent all the way through his journey. He's not changed. He hasn't like some people. They say they do one thing and do another thing, but this guy's been consistent. The way he's gone about things, it's been on a consistent basis. He hasn't changed. And the way he writes his book is the way he is. He's been authentic all the way through. He hasn't tried to mould himself so that people can accept him. He says, I'm Charlemagne, you either love me or hate you either love me or hate me. And every time also the great thing about Charlemagne is that he's been fired about four times. And each time he hasn't taken it like personal, at the end of the world. It's always like it's a comeback. And
that was another good principle that he was talking about. He's like, look, people don't think that you just get yeses all the way through. He's like, no, you get no's. He's like, I've been fired 4 times. And he's had families as well that he's had. We've spoken about loads of times throughout our podcast. How do you do this if you've got family had to support? And he's had to do this as well, where he's been fired and he's had to go and live back home, for a period of time, and he's had to go back home. Once he's actually made it to a certain point, he's had to fall back quite a lot, and then he said he's gone back and there's a lot of people looking at him, laughing at him. And his sister as well,
His sister was saying, like, look at you're on the Wendy Williams show, now you're back here with us, and then he was like, you're never going to leave the house. It's like, but it's that thing where he has to deal with, like, you're moving up in life, and then you fall back, and people around you are like, well, look, you're back with us. You're back with us.
You're a failure.
You're a failure. And then he has to keep. And he was talking about also having his first child, and then they put a deposit on the house, and then he got himself getting fired.
And then they had to retract it.
And stuff. It's all like relatable stories.
You know what? I liked it because it's real life. It's what has actually happened to him, and it just goes to show, you just see the finished article a lot of the time. You don't understand and know people's journey. We just spoken not too long ago about Arnold Schwarzenegger, not really knowing what his journey is, and it just seems that they all have a story. They all have a story, and it's good to hear. So I really enjoyed the book. I didn't know whether you guys. I was surprised to hear that you liked it.
No, I found it. I was like, because I can listen to podcasts and stuff when I'm working. It's just numbers. So I found it really enjoyable. It was really smooth. Like listening to the podcast, but it's just him talking. At first I was like, I've got a list, and he's got a list. And I wouldn't want to hear myself on an audio book. But then I got used to it, and then it was fun. It was good. It's easy. It was an easy listen. Some audio books I find them quite hard to get into. But this one was pretty easy.
You know what? I think he had to have narrated that book. He had to.
But it's his voice. The way it's written, it's his voice.
It's his voice, yeah. Exactly how you hear him on the Brilliant Idiots is the way he is on there. So it was good. Good stuff.
So I think there was a good, nice opportunity for a segue there. In that we're talking about people's journeys.
Yeah.
And obviously, whilst we're filming this on a Sunday, last night, big night, Anthony Joshua.
AJ, let's give him a round of applause, AJ.
I was really happy to see that. I was really happy. So I was a bit worried about which way it was going to go, right? But I was. If anybody saw my Snapchat, I was gassed up on there, like super excited. Like, yes, he got him. Youth over age, yes. Endurance over experience, like. But what I wanted to take from that is what I really, really like about AJ is, one, he's authentic, and two, he's just got such a high level of humility in a sport where ego is the dominant prevalent force, right? And in the absence of him having in the absence of his kind of need for an ego, he breathes just this calm confidence out there. But at the same time, when he won, he was like, he knew straight away people are going to pick on certain points that I didn't get. So he didn't hide away from it. He didn't shy away from it. He said, look, this is what it is. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. And I'm always going. And he knows that he is on a journey, and he knows he can get better.
Exactly.
And this is 19th fight. This is 19th fight. When you compare their records, Klitschko is on his 69th fight last night, and that was Joshua's 19th fight. He's got so much learning to do, and he's where he is already. When he gets to his 69th fight, if he ever gets there, he'd be amazing.
But this is what I had somebody hit me up. Well, I was talking to one of my mates yesterday, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not interested in AJ. When he fights somebody good, when he fight, then I'll start." And I'm just like, I'm saying to him, "You're not making any sense. This is his night. You're talking about until he fights Wilder." He's saying, and I'm saying, "How many fights has Wilder had?" And he couldn't tell me. So I said, "Look, Google's your best friend. Go and check it out." He's had 38 fights.
Yes,
and I'm like, why are you going to try and compare somebody to Wilder when he's had 19 fights, he's had 38 fights? I said, I could understand it if Anthony Joshua's out there saying, "I'm the best. No one could beat me. I'm this, I'm da-da-da-da." But I'm saying, where a man is coming out and saying on the mic, "I'm going to get better, I'm going on a journey, and I'm trying, I'm not the best, I'm not perfect, and I'm trying." I'm like, why would you then compare him to somebody else? I'm like, just enjoy his journey, man.
Well, I think it's, the thing is, he's in a catch-22, AJ, and this is why I was slightly worried of him taking on Klitschko, because Klitschko does have the vast experience, right? Yeah. Forget the kind of mismatch between the number of fights and the age and the rest of it, right? I was just a bit concerned and the problem is AJ's got nowhere to go. He has to go for the people who have more experience than him, because the way that he's come through the division, he's toppled everybody in front of him. You could no longer put one of these mugs in front of him because he'll knock him out into round. So he had to make the jump. Preferably, if there was a smoother route, then he could have done this in 10 fights, right? But he doesn't have an option. But again, he hasn't shied away from it. He said, "You know what? At some point, I need to make the jump up." He hasn't shied away. He's jumped up there. He's now taken that first knockdown and he's got back up from it. He showed composure to get through it. Realistically, right, if you actually look through that fight, and I don't want to sound sentimental, right, but when you watch through that fight there, that is almost in itself a coming-of-age story. Like, 100%. The man who has stepped up, taken expectation on his shoulders in the form of the 90,000.
That's Ali's struck up the world. It's like the same thing. And I'm not saying comparing him to Ali. I'm saying in the sense of Ali struck the world when he beat Liston, and no one thought he could beat Liston, or Ali when Ali is Liston, that's Joshua. I shook up the world. He shook up the world. What he did there, that is a coming of age fight. It's a perfect fight. He got knocked down. No, he knocked him down, gassed out. Got knocked down in the 6th round, survived for 2 rounds, came back in the 8th and 9th round, and in the 11th round knocked him out.
And that's what I'm saying, exactly what you said. But that fight there is better than him just going out and breezing him and knocking him out. It's better because it showed a proper journey within a fight. You know what I mean?
And by the end of it, as I said to you, by the end of it, you always saw a different boxer. Because at the start, Klitschko was the ring general. He was using his experience to master the centre of the ring. And you watch that last round, and Klitschko's on the outside. And AJ's chasing him down. Like, it was just... I feel like this should be a film, just that one. Real age Rocky.
He learned more in those 11 rounds than he's learned in his previous 18 fights.
I agree.
And that's make a champion.
And he had never been to 11. He had never been past 7, was it?
It was 8. Gazelle was 8.
Was it? Yeah. So he had never been past round 8 before.
Yeah, Gazelle was 8. So he went to 11th round. And the thing, this is what I have. it's confidence. It's that confidence that you realise that, yeah, I'm gassed out, but I can come back.
Did you think he had confidence after round 6, man?
He was smiling.
He was
smiling.
He was.
But then
He's talking to him. In round 8
I know.
7, yeah, when Klitschko was dominating, round 7, Klitschko was dominating, he was talking to him.
He was. I noticed that, but I was thinking, is that sort of like, I don't know, is that his way of, I don't know. I was thinking that he's struggling and he's trying to compensate.
But
sometimes
you're struggling, and the bravado helps you. You start believing in yourself. You're picking yourself up from not. Like he got knocked down. Klitschko's knockdown of Joshua was worse than Joshua's knockdown of Klitschko, the initial one. That was he caught him flat, straight. And for him to like survive, he was gassed out. For him to survive round 6, and then round 7, and just survive it, and then come back in round 8, says to me, this guy has confidence, but he has a coolness. He didn't panic. A lot of boxers panic. They like if you see Amir Khan gets hit, his hands naturally go down. He starts running away, and he gets hit and gets knocked out.
Sometimes Amir Khan's just been straight knocked out.
But you know what I mean? Like a lot of times when boxers get hit, they panic. But Joshua's got that coolness.
Like what you were saying as well, though. Heavyweight boxing, for him to have got knocked out the way he did and to come back, that is.
Well, I think in fairness, both of them managed to, because Klitschko knocked him out the round after he'd been knocked down. I think
that's why I'm talking about when AJ got knocked down by Klitschko.
No, but I'm talking about both of them. They both had to show the same.
Well, I didn't think that Klitschko's one was as hard.
No, but what I admire about Klitschko is that every time he got knocked down, he came back up. The first, not that 11th round one. Normally, if you get hit, when Joshua hits people like that, they don't get back up.
They don't get back
up. Klitschko got twice.
And I think in the end, the reason it got stopped is because he wasn't throwing back.
It
wasn't a flush knockout. He wasn't throwing back. So the referee did. The referee did the right thing. But where you're saying confidence, I think is actually it is confidence. He exudes confidence. Like Johnny Nelson said, can't believe all the run up to it. He's like, I cannot believe how cool he is. There's such a big fight in front of him. So I think he exudes that because and he's earned the right to be able to do that. He's built like a man mountain. He trains like that. So he had the right, every right, to have that cool and calm and confidence within him. And with regards to talking in the ring, I think it's just, you'll play those games. Like, Klitschko got into playing the game when he was like, I've got the USB. To be fair though, there's good. So you need to pay attention to the whole story behind it. Because he said, I've got this USB stick. I've put the prediction on it. This is going to be woven into my robe. And then the only person who's ever going to know about this is the person who buys this robe that's going to go on sale, and all of the money from that is going to go to the Klitschko Foundation. So it's a bit of mind games, but nobody paid attention to the nicer part of the story, right? Only because I didn't even see. It wasn't until I saw the whole interview that I was like, wow, that's actually a bit more about it. But it's the same as a Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson used to beat people before he stepped in the ring, and that wasn't the real Mike Tyson. Because when I say that, I obviously don't know Mike Tyson. But what I'm saying is, I was listening to Jamie Foxx's episode, Tim Ferriss interviewing Jamie Foxx, and he spent time with Mike, and he was like, when you speak to him one to one, so different to the way he is in the ring. And there needs to be a degree of that, because when you're playing any sport, part of it is getting inside the opponent's head. You do that with anyone. So I saw him smile, because part of that is, even if he's hurt when he's smiling back, I think some of it was confidence, some of it was overcompensating, because it's like, you're punching me, but I'm smiling back. So I don't think you're hurting me. He is getting a bit hurt because he's getting hit by a heavyweight, right? But he's saying, how frustrating is that if you're punching the target and they're just going, what? That means nothing to me.
But it's gamemanship. It's the same thing, like Ali and Foreman. Foreman's battering Ali all the way through rounds, and Ali's going, is that all you've got, John? Is that all you've got? That type of thing. It's also, you're overcompensating because you get hurt. It's hurt. It doesn't matter, Josh is saying it's not hurting him, it's hurting him. However, he's saying back what you're saying, I agree with you. It's like, you're not hurting me. And the other guy's like, I'm hitting him with my hardest punch, and he's there smiling at me. What else can I do?
And it's that hard of a fighter, right? Which you can get in a boxing ring, because he made a good point, AJ. He's like, in this small ring, there's nowhere to hide. But take that out of boxing. When you're going full force at something, there's nowhere to hide anyway. If you're really not going for an end goal, you've got nowhere to hide. And then ultimately, it's about that. You haven't got the heart of a fighter. Because when we talk about journeys of people and successful people, what you find is they've all hit hurdles. along the way,
Yeah.
and how they have overcome those. I mean, I spoke to you about the interview with John Crowley, and challenges that he's faced. His story is just incredible. Children brought up with, have this life-threatening disease. He quits his job, doesn't work in biotech, to start a biotech company to come up with a cure for the disease that is basically is a life-threatening disease. His children aren't expected to live for more than a year. And battles all the way through. There's always hurdles, and at any given point in time, he could have given up. But he had to have that heart of a fighter. Obviously, he used the backdrop of, if I give up, my kids are going to die. But it was that heart of a fighter at every phase. And you look at any story, like, it's easier to relate to it in a boxing ring.
Yeah.
But outside of that, any story, you need to have that heart of a fighter, just not to be beaten along the way.
That's it. Look, at the moment, I've got a friend going through something really bad, and she was diagnosed with, I can never pronounce it properly, but it's endometriosis, something like that anyway. And she overcame it, had an operation, but it's come back now and it's spread into other areas. And I was talking to her, and it's exactly that type of, I'm just like, look, it's easy for me to say, like, I'm on the phone to her, I'm saying, it's easy for me to say these things. And if I was in that position, I would like to think that I could act in this same way, but I'm like, look, tomorrow is coming the same way. You have to, don't let it defeat you.
Yeah.
You know, don't be defeated. We have to fight it, because what's the alternative? Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's easy to just say it, but when you break it down, what is the alternative? You just crawl back and just let it and just wallow in self-pity and just think like, oh, you're not allowed to be upset at me. But that's not what I'm saying. I was just trying to give her some sort of encouragement, some sort of support. She knows I'm there for her anyway, but I'm like, we have to we have to fight, we have to go full throttle, we have to have that fighting mentality. You know, we're not going to let this beat us, because we have to keep living, we have to get to the end goal, and that's, it's hard when these type of things happen, but you have to have that mental strength, man.
Yeah. So I think you do, and I think I completely agree with that. And it's obviously always harder when it comes to something that is life-threatening and a disease. And then it becomes more imperative, because your only option is you fight, or you've given up you've given up on life, right? Yeah. But I think people do need to adapt that mindset in everything that they go at. Yeah. So just a fighter's mentality. Imagine that whatever it is that you're trying to succeed in or achieve in, right, is your opponent in a boxing ring. And you just have to have the mind of a fighter. You get knocked down, you get back up again. Like, I've said that before, because you jumped into that tune, didn't you? And then there was another, segueing that into a different point, there was a good point that one of the guys made, is that you kind of need to take the choice to set your life up. So I think it was maybe Debbie Millman, her interview on one of the podcasts, is basically she said she wanted to be, I think it was an artist she said she wanted to be. And so she stepped back and she was like, but if I wanted to be an artist, I would have given up anything to be an artist. And she was like, but she always wanted to live in Manhattan. So she was like, actually asking the question, what did I really want? I wanted to live in Manhattan. Because if I wanted to be an artist, I would have given up everything to be an artist, right? Yeah. But that relates to somebody else who brought it up. I can't remember who made the point. But they were like, you need to set your environment up in a way that you can go on the offense. Yeah. So it's all well and good saying, just be a fighter, just go on the offense. But that's no good if you're setting yourself up in an environment which has got blockers all along the way, right? Yeah. So a lot of the guys, there's a lot of people who seem to have done it. Again, it's an ongoing trend that I've noticed in more of the creatives that he interviews, is that they'll get themselves out of a city environment, and there's a couple of them who just move to farms. Move the farms out in the country, because it removes them from the hustle and bustle. Ryan Holiday lives on a farm, and then there's another guy that he did as well. But there's 4 or 5 of them who've done the same thing, removed themselves out of it, and put themselves in a position where they can focus on what it is that they want to pursue. And I thought to myself, that's with the mixture of the two of those. That's an interesting point, because people are like, I really want to go and do this, but then they want to live in London, right? And when you think, but if you really wanted to do that, you could go and live in a town at a third of the cost, and then invest your time and your funds in what you really wanted to pursue. And I'm not saying it's an easy answer, but it's one of those where you have to ask the question, one, how much do I really want this thing that I'm saying I want? Yeah. If that's 100%, how do I change my environment so I can go fully on the offense to target that and go out and achieve it?
I don't know, because I used to think the same thing when I used to... when I go back and live in Manchester, because I went to university in Manchester, and a lot of my friends are still in Manchester, and I know there's a lot of people that were successful and starting small businesses were up north. Like I remember I was going to Manchester once. I was on the Virgin trains and I was in first class because my friend upgraded me. Not because I'm rich.
Nice. First class.
I started talking to this guy, and he was a management consultant, and he was telling me all his stories, and he was quite drunk, and it was a Friday night going back up north, and he was saying to me that he comes to London in the week, but he lives up north, and I was thinking, so why do people do that? And I think it's just because of like a lot of people, when you go up north, the lifestyle's easier, it's cheaper, it's easier, it's more calm, and it allows you to go back, relax, and then go back to the city, and then you recharge your batteries easier.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people do that, and I was thinking maybe if I go back to Manchester, I can go up to Manchester, I'll start my own business. It will be cheaper to set things up instead of London. But then I like being near my family. Mm-hmm. And Manchester, although it's only 200 miles away, or 200 plus miles away, it's not as easy to come back and see my mum and my brother and sisters. So what I really wanted, even though I want my own business stuff, but what I really want is to be near my family.
Yeah.
So that's like what you were saying. If I really honestly, I want to be near my family. I find they're my priority in my life. So I have to find ways of balancing that, wanting to be near my family, and also trying to chase what I want to do.
You need to work it out, right? Because at the end, and you laughed when I wrote this down the other day, but you don't want to be a donkey.
Yeah.
And what do I mean, guys? So, just to back this up, this goes back to a common story that people refer to, where you have a donkey that's in a desert, and on one side of him he has water, and on the other side he has hay, and he can't decide whether he wants water or hay. They're an equal distance apart, and he dies from starvation and thirst. So don't be a donkey means work out what those options are and take action towards moving towards them. But if you put yourself in almost analysis paralysis, where you've got two options and you can't work out what you're going to do, ultimately you die of starvation and thirst, right? And your thirst and starvation being replace them with whatever the options are that you want to achieve. But you just don't want to end up being a donkey and not doing anything, fall over flat. And I like the analogy just because it's don't be a donkey.
Do you think that analogy used to be don't be an ass, but then you've got people be a bit rude, so they wouldn't get it, because the donkey and ass are the same thing.
I don't know, donkeys are... No, people still get it. I think it sounds better when it's don't be a donkey. Don't be a donkey is...
Yeah, you don't want to be a donkey.
Exactly. And people are, what donkey is? But maybe that's how the trend... That's where the phrase came from, and being derogative towards people, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was I did like that.
No, it was funny. I was saying, that just made me chuckle.
I think I do agree. You have to decide. I think a lot of people are honest with themselves. But I think if the donkey was honest with itself, they probably want the water. But because it feels that the hay might taste better, and then it gets conflicted. I think if you're honest with yourself, then you can make honest decisions and say, I want this, I want that. It just takes time to say, what do I really want?
That's it. You got to take a step back.
Yeah, and say, what do I really want? A lot of people, I don't think a lot of people do that. Are honest with themselves and say what do they really want. If people are honest with themselves, like it's nothing. And some people are very embarrassed about their own honesty. So if I ask people what their interests are, a lot of people think that's a trick question, because I'm literally asking them what's your interest. And if they tell me what their real interest, I might judge them.
Yeah.
They don't tell me what their interests are. So if I say I've asked, I'm not being sexist, I've asked girls before what their interests are. And a lot of times their interests are shopping.
Yeah.
But they won't tell me that because they think that I will belittle it, because they're judging, they're basing an answer on what I've judged them on.
Yeah.
So they try to go, I like reading. I'm like, no, you don't. I'm not saying you don't like reading. I just know you don't like reading. You're trying to base your answer on what I think would be appropriate. And like we said this in one of the first podcasts we were talking about, like if you're authentic and you actually own your stuff, then if you do like shopping and if you do want to be an employee or you want to work at McDonald's, it's good. It's cool. You don't have to want to be a boss or be an entrepreneur or be rich or whatever you deem success to be. It's like whatever you want to do is own it and be authentic. And if you're authentic, then your honest decisions, you don't become the donkey. When you're not honest with yourself and what you really want to do, that's when you become the donkey.
And that's Charlemagne talks about in his book as well, because he uses an analogy called F your dreams.
Yeah.
Saying that he started wanting to be a rapper, but he sucked at it. And then, I can't remember the person's name, but it was a mentor of his that turned around and said to him, you're not good at rapping. And then he realised that throughout his whole life, he'd been that person where, you know, radio is what he kind of really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about. Are people honest with themselves? It's because when you're faced with those type of decisions, you have to be honest with yourself about what you really want, not what you think you want because of what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And when you realise what you really want, then you can go for it and make that decision. But I thought Charlemagne used a great analogy there, because a lot of people now want to be an MC or want to be an actor. Or
After Andy Joshua's fight, a lot of people
want to be a boxer. You know what I mean? It's just them following because of what they see other people do.
Yeah.
And he was saying, look, if you want to mow lawns, or if you just use really simple things, but it's like, if that's what you want to do, then that's fine, because success is subjective.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be an actor and be famous to be successful.
Yeah.
So, and that's what people need to realise. You know, you don't need to follow what other people are doing. Whatever it is that you want to do, you be the best at what you can be.
Because at the end of the day, you want to be happy.
That's it.
If you keep chasing other people's dreams, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be fulfilled. You're always going to be that don't be a donkey. You're always going to be that halfway house where you're trying to pursue something that you actually want to pursue because you feel like people want you to pursue it.
Yeah.
If you go out of your way and go for what you actually want, if cutting grass all day makes you happy, go and do it. Because life's too short to be miserable.
That's it, man.
I'm actually going to flip back to take a different avenue off one of the things you said about people's responses to answers and saying what you think is going to please them. Yeah. One of the things that I stepped back and I thought, this is so simplistic, but actually a really good point that hardly anybody actually does in their daily life. When Tim Ferriss was interviewing Malcolm Gladwell, he was like, what kind of things did you learn from your parents? He's like, my dad was skilled in asking dumb questions. And he didn't mean it, and he says when he says it, he's like, I don't mean that in a negative fashion. He was like, he kept asking until we fully understood something. So if he didn't understand it, he was like, sorry, can you explain? Because I don't get that. And then if he still didn't get the response, sorry, I still don't get it, can you explain it? And I think he referred to, he would have been no good if he'd gone and interviewed one of the guys that were involved in the whole trading kind of fraud and the rest of it, because he would have been like, he would have asked them so many times to explain it to a degree where he would have worked out their fraud, or they would have walked out and they were going to expose themselves, right? But we don't like to ask questions that will make us look stupid. We're so into wanting to seem intelligent. How many times, and I've done it before, where something's been said, and often you get it when you've got stuff like acronyms and stuff, and somebody mentions an acronym in a conversation, and you're like, I don't know what that means, but I'm not going to say it. I had a friend before, and we were hearing loads of stuff being said back and forth. He's like, right, let's just come to this agreement. If we don't know what it is, we're just going to ask the question. I'm like, yeah, cool. Because if you don't ask at the start, people start referring back to this thing, and you're like, but I don't know what this thing is. So you can do two things. You can like Google it to yourself, but it's better if you can get into that habit of just saying, actually, don't be afraid to be considered asking dumb questions, because then you get to the root of understanding the things that you need to. And even when you're having conversations with people, when they're saying something to you, well, sorry, I don't get that. Some people are just you're going to annoy the hell out of because they don't want to go into that umpteenth level of detail. But it was a really, when I listened to it, I was like, that's a really interesting point, because people don't like to sound stupid. In fact, they like to try and sound intelligent. And this is actually just looping back to something that was in my mind from about 4 days ago, and has just come back as a nice little segue in, of people like to make complex solutions. Well, they like to create complex questions that are actually simple answers. And they do it because if they make something sound more complex, they make themselves seem more intelligent to the people outside of them. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't understand why we're creating a complex scenario out of a simple situation here. And if you can be the one who comes in and says, right, I cut through and give you the solution, and everybody goes back and says, oh, but that solution is really simple. But it's a solution, right? So why does it need to be complex? And again, with a lot of the principles you talk about in life, is simple things that people do. And when you actually drill into it, you're like, that's so simple. How did I not see that before? Because we have created this kind of nonsense approach where we have to create complexity to indulge our own egos. And when you take that out of it and say, I don't care about complexity, I care about solution, you can change the way you look at things.
I was about to say that, it's egos. It's egos. It's because of people get embarrassed when things are too simple. They get embarrassed themselves, like, oh, it's simple. It can't be that simple. It must be more complex.
But it can.
It must be more complex. I'll make it more complex. And then they try to explain it, and it's so complex, and then you think, oh, why didn't you say it's actually easier to go from A to B than from go to A to B. It's easier to go around a circle. Just make it simple, make it easy, and remove your ego.
So people just want to feel. I think people want to feel more important, and they think if they're more intelligent, then they're more important.
But no, I think also people don't want to think that something's so simple, and they want to have that ego feel, well, I've solved something that's complex when it was actually complex in the first place.
I think it's a mix and match of all of them. I think it's ego. I think some people like to talk because it allows them, so they can take something that they might know, but I don't necessarily need to know you know that right now, right?
Yeah.
Over the course of time, I'll understand where your areas of expertise lie, but every opportunity is, they see every conversation as an opportunity to say, look how much I know. Mm-hmm. Look, if you give me a solution, then I just assume you're an intelligent person. You don't have to talk for 15 minutes to say something you could have said in 1 minute, just to give me 14 minutes of saying, oh, well, this guy clearly has done all his homework. Actually, I don't care. Mm-hmm. I value my time, so do most people. Therefore, get to the answer quickly.
There was a study on, I went on a course at work, and there's a study how people like information is displayed to them. And some people, it's like different colours, and some people are very analytical. They like all the information. They want to have all the details and stuff, and they want it forced and given to them in broken down formats, and then go through it and examine it, and then come up with a conclusion. And some people just want it like, give me the main points. That's all I need. I just need an overview. That's all I need. And I'm for an accountant. That's right. For an accountant, I'm like that. I don't. I'm opposite of most accountants. Most accountants like detail. They want to know every little piece. I hate long paragraphs. If you send me an email, long paragraph, I'll skim it.
Yeah.
I can't. I struggle to read things bit by bit. If you give me the main points, I'll look at it and I'll make a mental note of it and I'll understand it. If you give me a whole paragraph of things, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to look all the way through it.
It's know your audience. So funny enough, Jamie Foxx highlighted this in Ferriss when he did interview Jamie Foxx, and he was like, I went into this one place earlier on in his comedian career because he asked the question, how have you bombed and what was it like? And he was like, there was this one time I was offered to go on before some big comedian, I can't, his name escapes me now, and he said, yeah, I'll go on, $50. I'll go on and do that. So he goes in. It's a whole different crowd. Like it's like predominantly white crowd, older crowd as well. It's in a big banquet hall kind of room, so he's not close to them. And he like goes in and he says, he tries to deliver material and not getting it. And he's like, let me just see what let me pick out somebody in the audience. So he picks out somebody in the audience and they've got like a lapel, so he's about to joke on that. Then he realises the whole audience has a lapel, so he's like, I can't really do that joke. So then he's like, okay, fine, whatever it is, so-and-so is coming on soon, so we're going to take a quick break. So he goes off to the side, there's like a chef there or something, takes his apron off, he says, look, just give me the mic. Goes out there and just delivers these jokes off the cuff, right, and gets these people all laughing. Now what Jamie Foxx was saying is, you need to, and whatever it is, this is good for comedy, but you could use it for anything, you need to work out who your audience is and serve to them. So he said, what I basically did is, I would go and deliver my hour of comedy, and I would deliver it in a white area, and deliver like black jokes. And I would pick up the 15 minutes that they get. And then I would take the same thing and go and deliver it in a black area. Or in somewhere else around the world. Cultural diversity, different ages, the rest of it, right? And then what I would work out is the bit in the middle, which everybody can relate to.
Yeah.
So then he's got his material that he knows wherever he goes in the world, he can deliver that material and it will work. But it's come from working out his individual audiences and how it works to them. So for me, I mean, it's slightly...
Would that also go back to he's failed in certain circumstances and learnt from that as well, do you think?
Well, he bombed. He was like, you always learn from when you bomb. Like, he's like, you don't... It's not good, and I can't remember what I was saying to somebody before, but you never, a way to caption it would be, never waste a good failure.
Yeah.
Like, every failure is an opportunity to learn. Don't go out to fail. Like, Mark Andreessen on his, one of the podcasts he was on, made a good point. He's like, yeah, I'm just in this old mindset, but I don't like to fail, I like to say I'll succeed. And I get what he's saying, because we have created this, he was like, before when I started business, we didn't have these terms like pivot. You failed. Like, you fucked up. Like, so he was like, I don't like this idea of us fail fast. continue to fail and get the learnings from it. Yes, I think you should try to get the learnings from it, but at the same time, sometimes it's become so much a culture that we try to fail more than we actually need to.
I know, we've got to be careful of that.
It's finding that balance in the middle.
Yeah, for real. We can talk about it's okay to fail,
and it is, but the underlying premise is, and it was already put there, it's like, maybe I've got an old way of thinking about it, but I just like to succeed. And I thought that was really insightful way of him putting that across. But then on the back of that, what I was thinking is that, and I think I got it off it was a John Crowley interview on Tim Ferriss, which, if you get a chance to listen to it, it's just it was actually a really, all of them are thought-provoking to me. But this was kind of emotionally provoking as well because of the story of him starting up this biotech, and as I mentioned earlier, to save his children. But one of the points he made in there is and I spoke to you about this before we started, is that he went to ask if his daughter could go to a kindergarten, and because of this illness, she is in a wheelchair, and they've already put some of the treatment in by this point in time, but he still doesn't know how long she's going to live for. She's still in a wheelchair, she still needs nursing around her, etc. And he was like, the kindergarten was like, I don't think our school is set up to take your daughter. So he's like, well, can you just give it a try? I don't even know how long she really likes being around kids. I don't even know how long she's going to be here for. So he's like, okay, we can do it. Can you come in and talk to the parents and just explain, can't be passed on and everything's safe? They're like, yeah, cool. So he went in and did it. Gets to the end of term, and he was like, he said first day when the kids go in, they were like, she's in a wheelchair. They go over, they're like, what's wrong with you? And she was like, I've got this disease. Okay, cool, let's go and play. Because kids don't care about all this stuff, and the parents had written into the teacher and said, can you in some way find a way to make sure my child is not in her class? I'm really sorry about her story and everything, but this is a really important year. I don't think my child should be in a position where they have to concentrate on learning whilst having to concentrate on being around this child with the problems that she's got. Now, the parents had got into a place where they had created an issue which the kids couldn't see. Yeah. Because the kids have this beautiful innocence, right? Yeah. Which we lose when we get older. Yeah. And then it got to the end of the term, and they were saying the flip side. The principal had gone to John and said, I had a lot of these at the start. He didn't tell them when they first came in, he told them at the end of the term when they have like they're preparing for first grade. So John's listening to it and saying, right, he's basically trying to set me up to say my daughter can't come back for first grade. And he was like, all of these same parents are emailing me to say, I know this isn't a done thing, I know it'll be hard, but my child has learned so much from Megan, I believe it is. It's Megan or Melissa. That can you find a way to put them in her class for first grade? And so they turned around it, but it was like, for me, there's so many things that we can learn from when you step back and you're in the middle of your life. So many things you can learn from the young, and so many things you can learn from the old. And for me, I think from children, you can learn so much from the beautiful innocence that they don't pay attention to all the things that all the cultural biases that we create, and they don't pay attention to boundaries because they thought they get back up as just fun and games, alright? So they have like this limitless outlook on the world. And then when you think of old people, you learn the flip side of spending time with old people can be a sobering experience when they tell you the regrets of all the things that they didn't do, and you step out and you're like, and I'm like, we're in the midst of this middle part, and we can look to learn as much as we want, but you can learn so much from the opposite ends of the spectrum, like so much from, and it's ridiculous because we think, kids, how would we being taught by kids? And when you look at the two sides, and you say you spend time just with children and you realise the innocence of the world, and actually, right, there are opportunities out there, and we've created our own boundaries, and then you spend the second half of the day with older people who have regrets. Like, that's like a whole day of just opening up yourself to a complete awareness.
Yeah.
You're a good activity to carry out.
Tell you what, from what my daughter teaches me more than anything at the moment is just going back to what you said before about asking questions. You know, there's no dumb question to her. Yeah. She just asks questions and asks questions.
Yeah.
She asked me something the other day, and I can't remember what the question was, but my response was along the lines of, it's difficult to explain. And she said, you don't know the answer then. That's what she said to me. And I remember thinking to myself, I kind of don't know the answer. You know, how the hell did she work that out? But kids are just like, they're so clever, and they don't have anything else to base it on. They're just them, and they just ask these questions,
Yeah.
and they ask these questions because they want to learn. And her response was, "You don't know the answer." And that's fine. She'll probably go and ask their teacher or whatever. But I just like the fact that she asked these questions, and now, even to myself, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I need to ask more questions of things I don't understand, and don't worry about thinking to myself, "Oh, because I don't know the answer to that, I'm
Ask more
dumb,"
dumb
or whatever.
questions,
Yeah,
right? Ask
I
more
just
dumb
need to
questions.
ask more questions, because I ask more questions, I get more answers, and then I'll start to learn. And you can kind of get enough. You might be going to make that point now. Is that you get to a certain point and you think that you should know, and that you can't be taught anything else. But yeah, you can.
People respect you more for it. There's nothing worse than I hate when you get someone on work and they sit there for half an hour or an hour, and you come back to them and they haven't done it because they didn't understand what you asked them to do.
Yeah.
And they ask you the dumb questions at the very beginning. It would save a lot of time and effort. And embarrassment that they feel.
Yeah.
That if they ask a question at the time. Because if I see that, I sit there. Someone tell me to do something, I'll sit there for an hour. I wouldn't know what they've after they're done. I would look at them and I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. And when I actually start, I'm like, I don't understand what it is.
Do you know what I think as well? I think it's important for us as people that when we engage and people ask us questions, which we, class has done, that we don't act as if, we need to act, okay, look, there are no dumb questions, ask because you need to, because it's that response that you don't want to get, "Oh, you should know this," you know what I mean?
There was a girl at my workplace who's recently left who used to ask me questions all the time about accountancy, like what's a balance sheet, what's a P&L, what's an accrual, what's a prepayment, and these are very simple, basic questions that she could have got Google start. Google, but every time she asks, I made a conscious effort saying, I'm not going to see it's a dumb question. I'm actually going to answer her question and give her the time of day to because it's valuable when because it's valuable that she will understand because someone's given her given her a real life situation of how this works. So when she got into a new job, she now knows what a balance sheet is, what P&L is, and I didn't think, "Oh, she's stupid, she should know this." I thought, well, when I was coming up, no one told me these things. This is useful information that I would have found useful when I was coming up, so she's going to find it useful now.
Definitely. Okay.
So, I mean, there's loads of play. I've consumed so much this week. It's just an absolute joke. But the only other one that I want to put, and because I think it's good to focus on some of the niceties sometimes that we overlook, but so again, going back to the John Crowley story, and I really, again, can't stress enough how much you should listen to it. It's such a brilliant, thought-provoking story, and a slightly emotional one as well. But he was like, so his daughter wanted to go to college. He's like, if you get to Notre Dame, then we'll make it happen for you. So he set it all up, and they basically accommodated for it. They created a dorm that was accessible by wheelchair, all of her classes. They changed their her class lesson pattern and the rest of it. And he got the nurse involved because she has to have the 24-hour nurse around her. And so he's like, there was one thing I overlooked. She needs to be lifted out of her wheelchair every 6 hours or so. And he was like, I don't know what I'm doing about this. I haven't got an extra nurse. So then he's trying to work out the answer to it. Goes to the door. Long list of people, all who sit in the dorm, all students, have put their names down, and they need to. And so every 6 hours, one of them needs to intervene to help lift this girl in and out of her wheelchair. And I thought that was another one of those moments I was listening to. I was like, wow. That's just a really nice thing to know that people do. Because it's so easy for us to think, well, this world's around in a wheelchair, and you can guarantee there'll be people out there who don't directly avoid her, but find ways to indirectly avoid being around it. And then you've got these other people who just... It was... What I really liked about that is it showed the strength and resilience and humanity that still exists. It was one of those stories. It wasn't just about the success. It was about the resilience and humanity that still exists in people, which we don't always look into.
I think we forget sometimes that the person that sits opposite to us, that the stranger on the train or the stranger on the tube, is another human being. A lot of times we think ourselves is different than them, and we use different things to separate ourselves from them. So you're black, I'm white. You're male, you're female, you're Muslim, I'm Christian. We use it to separate ourselves and we say they're different from us. Reality, we're all the same, and once you do that, then once you break that down and say, well, all humans are all the same thing, then that issue of humanity comes down because you feel like, why won't I do it for him? He's not a human being. Why won't I help him? Why won't I give my time? Why won't I be nice and be just to show a bit of humanity to other people? Is when we separate ourselves and say we're different. I'm different from that person. Then you say, I don't have to help that person. That person's in a wheelchair, she can't walk. That's not my issue, that's her issue. In reality, what you should be saying is that she's not a human being, she needs my help. I'm offer it to her. If I can, why not?
If I can, yeah. There's another one is not family or family is another way to sort of separate yourself. But you said when you break it down, if you can help somebody, then why not try to help them?
Yeah, we use these things to put barriers up. There's no need for them. In reality, we're all humans. If you see someone that needs your help and you can help them, the thing is, I'm not saying if you see someone that needs your help and you can't help them, don't try and help them. I'm not saying I'm not beating you up for that, but if you can help them, why not? Yeah, it'll make you feel good as well. I'm telling you, you get a hit from that. Yeah. I gave one guy £10 once, and I wasn't very rich at the time, and that £10 meant a lot for me. And it was at Liverpool Street, and I wasn't earning that much money. And he came to me, and I had no money on me, and I actually walked to the cash machine and drew money out and gave it to him. And the hit I got from that, I was like, I feel really good. And I didn't do it because I wanted to feel good. It just made me feel good because I did it.
It's little things like that. It's funny though. It's interesting. I had an experience a couple of weeks ago. I was coming back from the gym. It was a homeless guy. He came over. He was like, "Have you got any change?" I didn't have change. I've come from the gym, right? And it's not like I have a bag on me. There was a single session to the gym. And so then he was talking to me, and he's like, "Yeah, I used to do bodybuilding." This. What came out of it is clearly he'd been in he had some mental issues before, and he sounded like he had been in some kind of a hospital because he was talking about routines and schedules and stuff. So I was walking in the same direction. He's walking, he starts talking to me about it, and the amount of people who gave just this weird look when I was walking past and talking to this guy, and for me, I was just thinking, people probably run away from him all day, right? It didn't make me feel any better or worse to anything about him, but there was probably quite a lot of value in him just having somebody who could talk to for a brief period. And this was only about 10 minutes of time that we were walking in the same direction before I had to cut off. But I thought, it's the little things in life that nobody wants to do because of the perception that people might get around them. I didn't care about what the people thought about me who were giving me this weird look because I was having this conversation with this homeless guy.
I'm not being rude, you must have been a decent smelling homeless guy, because some homeless people, they don't smell that nice, and I try, I'm not being horrible, I'm not trying to be funny either, even though in my head it sounds very funny. Some people, they really do smell, and I do try to give them the time of day. I'm saying the guy that you spoke to must have been a nice smelling homeless person. I
didn't really factor into the equation. I didn't actually consider that point of view. But it was a tiny thing. It didn't take any effort, or it didn't spend any effort for me. But it probably had a lot of value for him. It's just the little things in life that people make sometimes.
But we literally don't. We underestimate our interaction with other people. Like a lot of times, if you just notice someone, that person could be wanting to commit suicide because you actually spend time showing them a little bit of attention, and that stopped them from committing suicide. Those type of things that if we show people and acknowledge people, just saying that good morning to someone can make that person feel special. You have those stories, you have people that say it every day. About that woman that had, which got locked in, and because the security guard she used to say good morning to the security guard every day, and then that one day she didn't say good morning to him. He noticed, and he went and opened the door and saved her because she would have been locked in there all weekend.
Oh, is it?
Wow. She acknowledged him every day, and he noticed that one day that she wasn't in, and he knew she wasn't on holiday. He saw her come in the building. He didn't see her leave. He went and looked for her. And it's those things, we underestimate our human interactions with people. And because those things add value to other people. And I think that's what I'm not saying that's what our main point of life, but if you can do it and add value to other people's lives, do it. You add value to your life.
Cool.
Well, yeah. I love to add value. Yeah. That's what we're doing. Yeah. Trying to add value. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Added value.
Yeah.
So I'm cool. I think we'll wrap up there. I've probably got another podcast. I'll go and listen to straight after this. So you know how it is, guys. Life is only as good as your mindset. Your results are only as good as your hustle. We hope you take value from every one of the episodes, but I think this one specifically, just touching on some of those bases, I'm stealing them from people not from Tim Ferriss, but from all the people that he's interviewing. Yeah. You just learn a whole lot of that. And as I said, there's a takeaway from this. Obviously, subscribe to us, keep up to date with what we're posting, but go out there. Tim Ferriss is a great one. Go out and follow him as well and listen to his podcast. you will learn pearls of wisdom from every single one of those episodes. So that being said, for most people, enjoy the extra day of the weekend with the bank holiday. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will catch you next week.
Peace out.